Welcome, everybody, to another episode, DeFi Money and Everything. What's up, everybody?
Hey guys. How's it going?
We got a special guest on today's podcast, episode 13, Alchemy from Alchemy Trades. Now, I have not gone live on my YouTube channel in quite some time, but I think you all know what I'm about to say. Let me know what time it is from where you are, where you're watching from, whatever you feel comfortable with, because I love talking to everybody from around the world. Crypto brings us all together. We got Croc in here. We got Cam. What's up, Cam? Cam says Austin's holding it down. Absolutely. We're going to be streaming everywhere now, including my channel. Thaddeus, what's up? What's up? Jim Beam. We got the real Jim Beam here. Wow, YaBonks putting up the chat.
That's Austin. Austin set this one up.
Yeah,
there are no chat rules. There are no chat rules on my channel. On Austin's there is, though, I think.
There's chat rules? Oh, yeah, I have it defaulted, so you got to be a subscriber, so that's probably what it is.
Oh, and I also put up community guideline rules. Like, I don't even remember what I put, but like, be nice to each other and stuff like that.
Pocket 8 Ontario.
Too many rules. Too many rules.
They're guidelines. They're guidelines, not rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, so we got Alchemy. What's up, Alchemy? How you doing, bro?
Not much. How are you guys?
Dude,
good. This is actually my first time ever talking with Alchemy. So nice to meet you, Alchemy. I'm Alex.
Nice to meet you. Happy to be here.
Cool.
And I hope everybody just like appreciates the branding. Look at this. We got a logo now. We got boom, an official DeFi Money and Everything logo. We are becoming legit, everybody. Okay. So I want you all to go right now before we get into the meat and potatoes, because we're going to talk to Alchemy about some DeFi grid trading bots. We're going to talk about, are we seeing market capitulation? Really would love to hear Alex's and Enrique's point of view when it comes to that, because Enrique, man, he's all deep in those markets trading. I have just recently been trading. I mean, I love everything about that. And so go on Twitter right now, go to my Twitter page, retweet and like, so we can get this out to as many people as possible, because our podcast is really starting to take storm. And I'm really enjoying the growth. I'm really enjoying just talking to like-minded individuals and having fun on a Friday afternoon before we get into the weekend. Thank you so much for the kind words, Serenity. So without further ado, Alchemy, why did you make grid trading bots in the DeFi space?
Why not?
You just woke up one day and you're like, why not?
I mean, there wasn't really a reason. Me and so my partner's name is Serge, and I've been around DeFi and around crypto for quite a while. You know, I've been mining or trading for 5-6 years. I've been DeFi for a while, and everything took a downturn, as we all know. Back in January, and we were like, well, we need something to do, because I don't want to just stop trading, because that's not really an option. But let's find something to do. So we started with just a project for the two of us, just like, hey, let's just try something. Let's just see what we can do, see if this exists, because we were grid trading on Pionix and KuCoin and having success there. And then I just thought, DeFi is super, super volatile. Why are we not taking advantage of that volatility and making these grids and these algorithmic tradings, in DeFi, where it's crazy? So we just kind of started doing it as just something for the two of us to have. And then we realized this kind of works. This kind of is a thing. I think other people might want to try this.
Yeah, and I've been telling people, one really cool thing about Alchemy Trades is exactly what's happening right now, is the fact that we see centralized exchange left and right, literally just going down, not your keys, not your wallet, all of your stuff literally going out the window. But grid trading is a strategy a lot of people use. especially when it comes to a volatile market, especially when it's trading sideways, you can passively get low, get buy high, or buy low, sell high, and do it pretty passively. But in a centralized exchange, bro, you could be making bank, but then tomorrow your centralized exchange turns out 90% of their holdings are Shiba Inu, and they're actually very, very illiquid. So with something like Alchemy Trades,
20%.
but something like Alchemy Trades, you're owning every single asset as long as there's no taxes on the token and it's listed on an exchange, on a decentralized exchange. You're owning what you're grid trading. So, I really love the technology. And when I first heard about you all, I was a little skeptical. Not gonna lie, I'm skeptical about everything, but over the course of interacting with you all, using it myself, I got a video coming out next week about that with other trading bots I use. It's been pretty powerful for just passively grid trading.
Yeah, we hear that not your keys, not your wallet for exchanges. We like to embrace the your keys, your wallet, your bot for our community. It's just you own everything. You own the software, you own your wallet, you own the keys. Everything's yours. I just provide the tools for you to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. YaBonks, EAM Crypto, have you all used Alchemy Trades or used any type of grid trading bot?
Yeah,
I've never used a bot.
I've used grid bots for years. I've never used Alchemy. I actually know about zero about Alchemy Trades. I know nothing about it. I just know that it's a DeFi style bot service. So I'm used to doing grid bots and all that stuff on like Pionex and they like piggyback off of Binance's API and everything with super low transaction costs. So I'm used to central exchange trading bots, not DeFi. So I can see how a DeFi trading bot is a cool idea. And, with DeFi bots, I'm used to things like, MEV bots, MEV, like max extractable value bots or whatever. And that's like arbitrage bots and bots that like front run and do sandwich attacks and stuff like that. That's the kind of bots I'm used to learning about and seeing used in DeFi. So it's interesting now to have like TA style bots on decentralized exchanges with DeFi pairs. And so I'm again making some assumptions because, like I said, I know nothing about Alchemy Trades, just that they said, hey, by the way, we're a DeFi service, not a CeFi. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, we are not on any exchanges. We don't even try to compete with that. There's, most of them either already have it built in, or you have 3 commas or other services that are super professional and not even worth attempting to compete against. But there's just nothing in DeFi. I mean, we have access. We're on all the major AVAX, Phantom, Matic, BSC, all their major dexes, and we just, you find a pair that you want to trade on AVAX that's not taxable. Sure, grid trade it. Go ahead. Any tokens. There's no limitations.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, Alchemy, if you just want to give, like, I know you kind of a little bit, but I want to make sure everybody that's here kind of hears about what you are. I mean, Alex and Enrique, they've never really heard. Like, could you kind of just give like an elevator pitch of what exactly Alchemy Trades is and, the benefits of it versus whatever else is out there, which is really nothing. So you're adding value that's to a space that there's nothing there anyways.
Yeah, we're lucky that there is no competition for us. So we're
yeah,
it's lucky, but we're also we're inventing it as we go. So that's part of it. But Alchemy Trades is started out as just a grid trading bot, but has turned into what we're trying to build a full crypto suite of tools. So on top of having our algorithmic trading, grid tradings, and the other algorithms that we're working on and building, we have what we call an Ultra Dex, which is a re-envisioned front end of any DEX that you've ever been to. But we bypass all of the essentially those services that they provide that slow things down because it's such a mass. What's what I'm trying to think of? It's a mass used by multiple people. So their servers slow you down. There are those pings to and from. Everyone's gone to Trader Joe, and it takes 3 seconds to find a token, and then it takes 2 minutes to complete a transaction. Where we just use the same backend that they use, but we can do it in 2 seconds from start to finish of the trade. So we're just building out. Our goal is to build out a suite of tools just to help the average crypto user in DeFi. I mean, make it more accessible, make it more easy to get can make your gains to grow, and just to be there.
Nice. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was kind of put out because, every guest that we end up having on, I think you're our second guest. We want to, put out like what you're about or what your project is. In this case, Alchemy Trades, before we get into anything else. But, we also just wanted Alchemy to come on because we always have these like, informal discussions about everything in the money world. And we love to hear our guests' input as well. So let's get into it. Enrique, are we in a market capitulation yet?
No,
We're not.
No. I mean, I think I've been pretty much, I don't know, on the side of, hey, we haven't found a bottom. We don't know for sure. If you're a disciple of True TA, you don't know for sure, but the indicators strongly suggest that we hadn't. And unfortunately, nothing has really changed. I know that the price action we saw yesterday was definitely something that you can call capitulation. I mean, it was pretty volatile and brutal. But no, I think there's still a lot more downside, unfortunately, and it's in a number of ways now. I mean, we still haven't had the miners. They're still going to capitulate at some point, right? The hash rate keeps going up. There's going to be issues with that. That one is something that's coming. It's a headwind that's coming. We just don't know when. The macro still is complete and utter ass. Yes, the CPI report did come in at a little less, as far as how much it rose. It still rose. People are like, oh, the CPI rose showed that inflation dropped. No, it still rose. It still went up. It just went up a little less than they thought. So that's still pretty brutal. And now you have the fundamentals of crypto. We look, guys, what happened with Luna happened like in May, June? And this is the fallout from that still. So when are we going to really totally see the fallout from this week? It may be freaking almost summer of next year and we don't know the fallout. And I just saw that list of 154 companies that were affected by it. And I don't even know what to make of it. So fundamentally, things are not strong either. So just from a TA perspective, I wanted to show some stuff on the chart. We can do it now. We can do it later. Guys, you can't be bullish right now. You just can't. Just like you couldn't be bullish 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I mean, we're under 20K. You can't be bullish, and now with more reason, you just can't be bullish. So no, I don't think we've seen that capitulation just yet. I was going to show some things that I think maybe there's some confluence and where we might be able to kind of guess where it's going to happen. But no, unfortunately, things, guys, let's just be real. It sucks. It's tough.
Let's just call a spade, bro.
Yeah. I mean, think about, I don't know how many DMs or messages you've had or talked to folks that, have gotten caught in all this and lost a lot of money. And I've had like anxiety all week just talking to people, and I didn't have any money in FTX, and I could have. From what I understood, it was a safe place to put your money, and they were paying 8%, right, on all cryptos. Like I still don't understand why I didn't have any money in there. I guess it's because I didn't want to have a lot of money in a centralized exchange. But there's a lot of people, guys, hurting right now in a bad place, and it's a tough time to be in crypto right now. It really is.
Yeah. And I was even thinking, well, I wasn't saying this. I was thinking this today, actually, where we were seeing this cool little artificial pump from the CPI report a couple days, or what was that, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday.
It was yesterday.
It's like,
feels like 2 weeks ago, but it was yesterday.
Dude, it feels literally like, I'm sitting here thinking, it was yesterday. And it's like, people are like, oh my gosh, is this the bottom? Like, are we heading into like it's like, bro, we're already starting to see the market correct in a matter of hours just from that little artificial. I mean, and even then, think about this. Think about how crazy we are in an economic situation where 7.7% inflation is good. That's bullish right now. Like that. Oh my goodness, man. What's your take, Alex? And then we'll get to you, Alchemy.
I think I agree with Enrique. I think we're going down more. Just not financial advice. I'm not an expert or anything, but I've always thought all year that we're going to touch 11K Bitcoin, and it's strange because Bitcoin and the crypto markets are tanking, and I think we're going to see lower, and the Dixie is tanking as well, and generally Bitcoin and the Dixie are inverse each other. And now we're seeing them both go down at the same time at like the same rate, like vertical. And it's like, that's crazy. So if the Dixie was like, not changing, then, you would think Bitcoin would be the same. Or if like the Dixie was going up, you'd think Bitcoin would be going down. But like the Dixie's going down and Bitcoin's going down. So it's like the downward pressure on Bitcoin and crypto is even more, I think, than we really see, because the Dixie, it's so strong. It's just completely negating the fact that the Dixie's going down so fast. It's crazy.
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, because that is yeah. I can't believe I forgot to say that earlier. Look, guys, when the Dixie and the VIX are both pumping, that's really, really bad for risk on assets. And they are both, they're both on a little nosedive today. And here we are with Bitcoin doing what it was doing. So just historically, if you look at the VIX, whenever it's down to these levels, if you just go and back test it, whether it's Bitcoin or any of the traditional markets, right after it gets to these levels is where you see a huge, huge dump. Huge. And where's the VIX? It's at 22. That's not good, guys. It's not good at all. So basically every indicator possible, if I could share my screen, I'm actually looking at it. Every indicator possible is basically screaming to take care. And yeah, guys, that VIX, I don't know how it stayed so low for so long. I've heard a lot of economists say it's because of the fact that interest rates are being raised, that already got raised at such a high level that it just had to kind of like reset its oscillators. I don't know. I'm not really one to speak about the VIX like that, but I can just tell you this much, guys. Historically speaking, yeah, the VIX is sooner or later, it's about to pump. And if it starts pumping now, all it's doing is right here, as you can see. Am I sharing my screen? Thought I was. There we go. As you can see right here, if it starts pumping pretty soon, it's just going to paint a higher low, and boom, here we go. Here we go. And then you look at the Dixie, as Alex was saying. He didn't talk about this, but I had the Dixie in a channel. I think not a lot of people did. And what happened to that channel in the last couple days? It's gone. We're out of that channel. So right here, as it's doing this, you're expecting BTC to pump, right? Nope, not even close. So sorry, that's the monthly. Not even close. So not good at all. So Alex hit the nail right perfectly, man. Those two things are definitely pretty bullish. And I was going to show some things. We can do it later, where I can kind of show some confluence, where maybe, just maybe, using traditional TA, I can kind of give you guys a better idea of why I felt so confident about the fact that we hadn't hit a low, and where I think we might hit it. But yeah, I just wanted to add that point in, guys. The VIX hasn't pumped yet, so that's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah. What do you think, Alchemy, while we have this data here on the screen?
I mean, to me, because I'm so focused on the bot that I don't focus that much on the larger aspects of crypto. But I think just in general that there's too much going on globally to even make an assumption on any. I mean, there's just basically just because of how the entire global economy, everything is going. There's no way. And throw on top of that, FTX, and knows if another one crashes or another one goes down, that throws all TA out the window.
BlockFi. BlockFi.
Yeah, BlockFi.
But if they disappear, I mean, you could have the strongest TA, you could have the best TA in the world, and it just takes one event, takes something crashing and something just going
I don't know.
away.
Show me the charts, and I'll tell you the news. I mean, the charts I kind of felt told us something like this could be happening. So I would definitely challenge that. I'm a big fan of show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. And I do think the TA kind of told us that something was coming. I think the TA is telling us that something's coming kind of soon as well. But I guess time will tell.
That's fair. Yeah, because I don't pay super close attention to the bigger markets, mainly because I'm so focused on these small day trades, I'm running the grids, but these small inner plays instead of the larger term. I honestly don't care what the larger term is going to do because I'm working on these smaller intraday trades.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about trading too. Like you can just block out a whole, like the macroeconomic factors, and just trade in like whatever time frame you're focused on, and you could still come out on top without even caring about the macroeconomic trends. It's very
Well,
interesting.
do you guys remember back in like February, late January, March, DeFi was so hot. There was so much liquidity. We were all making so much money off, every launch seemed 2 or 3x, right? It seemed like every tomb fork had opportunity. Bitcoin was doing horrible. And I don't know about you guys. I would forget that Bitcoin had dipped from like 62 to like 40K. It was like not even in my mind because I was so focused on the fact that DeFi was just so hot. So kind of like what you said right now, Alex, it is very easy to block things off if you're very focused on one thing. I miss those days, by the way.
I miss those days too, man.
We had a chat here by Nate. I don't know if Nate heard you say this before, but I remember you saying this before, Enrique. Nate said, Bitcoin has never in its life seen quantitative tightening. We have no history to compare to this macro. We're going down, down, down. And that is exactly what Enrique's been talking about, where I know how to trigger Enrique anytime I want to like trigger him, because all I have to do is say, bro, look at the rainbow charts. So you'll see these rainbow charts, right, that people post on Twitter and stuff. And it'll be like, here it is. Like it'll be red, and all that stuff. And it's true.
We are beyond fire sale.
Like
I've been following the rainbow chart for like a couple years now, and like we are below fire sale level. Like what's after fire sale? Like I don't even know. Pennies on the dollar. Yeah, exactly. All Bitcoin
up,
must
Dave?
go.
What's up, Dave? Dave says, do you think FTX is a good investment too soon?
Oh man.
Did you notice that? Did you guys see they already came out with FTTC Classic?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
And it mooned. It absolutely mooned.
I mean,
Of course
FTT
it did, bro.
technically mooned on chain yesterday.
That's true.
When
my gosh.
they locked down everything but Tron.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a scam! Sorry, that's an allegation. I have no evidence of that being a scam, but it seems scammy to me to be like, hey, by the way, if you have Tron assets or whatever on FTX, you can get off. You can get out of FTX. No one else can, but you can get off onto our network and everything. So people are just like on FTX, buying all the TRX and all the Tron assets. All that stuff's going sky high on FTX itself. They're getting out, so they're selling like their capital that's on FTX for like pennies on the dollar to get highly overinflated Tron assets on the FTX market. Then they take that, they off ramp onto the Tron network, and then they sell their Tron assets elsewhere to try to recoup their investment. But it's like on these other markets now, everybody's dumping those Tron assets. So like they're paying overinflated price here to get out of FTX and then selling down here. So it's like the definition of buy high, sell low, because you're held hostage by FTX, and Tron comes in to save the day for their, the Tron people. But like, it's just, what the hell is happening right now? I don't even know, man.
It got up to $1 for one TRX token.
I don't remember which one. Yeah.
Well, it was 6 cents. Well, it was 6 cents on any other, exchange.
Some of them went like 30, 40.
Yeah, 6 cents for every dollar you have. Like what? That's like, if do you want out? How bad do you want out? Take 6 cents for every dollar you got, and I'll let you out.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know.
Don't worry,
I
though.
don't know
Justin's
if
here to save the day.
I don't know if everybody's super up to date, like as far as very simplified terms, what the heck FTX did and why the FTT token is just so terrible. But essentially what happened, okay, is why everybody is putting so much stress on this weird company called Alameda that we've never heard of before, other than just now, is the fact that to pump up the balance sheet of Alameda, they took the FTX token. They have this imaginary money now that they have just created a value from thin air. So they printed money from thin air. Wonder who else does that? The government. And what they did was they sent this to Alameda to pump up their balance sheet. So now they have a positive cash flow. Look at all this revenue they're making. And then they take this revenue and then they take leverage on this revenue that they can now prove they have. But the revenue that they had to begin with was air. So it's just like,
yeah,
all we're seeing, I was just on a podcast literally 2 hours ago on another place. All we're seeing is at a grand scale, a DeFi project. That I truly believe that's all we're seeing with these centralized exchanges and how they fail.
10 people.
Because
there's 10 people.
Exactly, because they had this first movers advantage within the crypto space as far as building these centralized exchanges, and they accumulated massive amounts of money. And so they had this massive runway that they could burn cash and play with people's money with because they just had so much. Because a normal DeFi project fails super quick because they only have 500 grand versus a centralized exchange. They have multiples of 500 million. So it's like, it's hilarious, bro. Oh my goodness. Hey, I see you sharing your screen, Enrique, but I want to get to this question before it gets buried in the chat. Jim asked, I think this is a good one for you. Jim said, how low will Ethereum go?
Yeah, great question. Don't know, obviously, but we can kind of show what would happen if BTC goes to 14 or 13.8 or maybe 11.5, and then you can kind of surmise from there how much that would affect Ethereum. But I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not saying it's going to go down there, but there are some crazy solid levels of support at around 375. 375.
Doesn't that sound so sad to say?
And it sounds crazy. Like, I'm not saying it's going to go down there. I'm just stating that's like, man, back the truck up, and
I know, back the truck up, man.
Yeah. But again, no one knows for sure if it even gets down there, but that is very strong support. To your point, Austin, when you were talking about all the ways that Alameda had kind of like a head start, they also had a head start with all of these pre-sales, right? And where they were the seed investors, and they were able to make 1,000%, 100,000% on all of these. Every single one of these projects, they made a killing, and now they're done for. How in the world? I mean, just look at that list.
And we see major companies. We see 3 commas up there with trading brokerages. I just remember seeing that one because a lot of people use that for trading bots, and that's kind of scary. Dude, we see some helium. People were buying helium like crazy in the bull market for their little miners. Oh my gosh, man.
Aptos, Near,
1 inch,
X,
1 inch. I mean,
huge.
Everybody's heard of 1 inch. Near, a lot of people are crazy about Near. I remember Croc. I'm one of them. You got bags in Near. Yeah, you got. You talked about Near.
Yeah.
What's up, Render?
Yeah, guys, I just wanted to your point, I just wanted to kind of give that aspect of it as well. I mean, this is, Starkware. I mean, there's just one after another. That I recognize. Yeah, guys, I don't know. I don't know how bad it is, how bad the contagion is, and how many steps back did we take because of this. So it just kind of sucks.
Real quick, Alchemy. So we had a question from the chat for you. They said, Louis says, does the bot work on Mac or just Windows?
Works on Mac, Windows, and Linux.
Yes. So I'll drop the link again for anybody that wants to check out Alchemy Trades. If you want to know kind of like the gist of them, check out this link. Also, just take your finger or your cursor and swipe back to the beginning of this where he kind of talked a little bit about Alchemy Trades, what it is, what it's about. But yeah, man, Serenity, that's insane. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see just one centralized exchange, how the momentum of their mistakes of what it truly can create within a ripple effect of this crypto space. And it's like, what do you... The problem is, and I was talking about this too, is you see these crypto places making these terrible mistakes, but like we talk about regulation, and I think some sort of regulation is very needed in this space. But how far do we go with regulation? Because it's like crypto was made to decouple from traditional finance, right? So if you try to take the fundamentals of regulation in traditional finance and try to bleed it over, like when does it not become crypto anymore? It's just a question I've been thinking about for the past couple of days, and it's so hard to answer for me.
Yeah, very hard to answer. And one thing we've noticed about regulation over the years is that once it has this much, it wants a little more, and then it wants a little bit more, and this other politician wants a little more, and it just keeps growing, right? And so I don't think anyone really knows the answer to that, how bad it can get. We obviously need some kind of regulation. I think this is proven. And look, guys, if you want the big boy money to come into crypto, the only way that's going to come in is regulation happens. If you want Bitcoin at 250K, you want Ethereum at 50K, we're going to need regulation in order for those things to happen. Because that's when the real big money comes in.
FTX.US has a lot of regulation. So that's why they keep saying, oh, don't worry, FTX.US is fine. It's completely unaffected by FTX.com, FTX International. So on the international side of things, like FTX was doing just like, they're just being crazy, way over leveraged, doing just crazy stuff with people's money, printing their native token, FTT, and then borrowing stable coins on that, and then using that to invest in all this other stuff and just like, just crazy stuff. But FTX.US, they're saying is like, no, they didn't do any of that. They're completely separate entities. They're owned by what, Westshire Capital something, or I forget. So they're owned by another like shell company kind of that's CEO is, Sam and some other people as well. But technically they're separate entities. I read through some of the legal stuff on, their incorporation documents and on their websites and things like that. So FTX.US is supposed to be good to go because they're not doing any of that, but it's like FTX.com, they can do whatever they want. No worries there. But still,
in Japan, right? Because FTX Japan was also heavily regulated. So apparently they're okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. FTX Japan, all those users are okay. And they're going to be made whole from what I understand. Just because there's so much regulation there, which, go figure. But yeah, you're right. And it's just a contagion thing, right? Even if one is okay as far as legally and they did all the right things as far as gap accounting. Did you guys see who did the audit for them?
Oh my gosh, yes. I was just about to say that. It's
real quick. I want to say thank you, Crypto Aaron, so much. He just gave me 5. He gifted 5 memberships to my YouTube channel to random people watching the stream. I think, dude, that's super cool. It's the first time it's ever happened to me. So yeah, YouTube first. Thank you. Thanks, Aaron. That's awesome. It's amazing. Yes. All right. Sorry. All right. Balance sheets you guys are talking about, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, no, the audit was done by, it was done by something of the metaverse, right? What was the name of it? Freedom of the Metaverse?
First ever metaverse auditing company.
Oh my God.
They're the first one. Like their first, they were just super green in the space and they audited, Dave brings up a really good point in the chat. They said, talking about the spider web because he was continuing, but talking about the spider web of everything influence, a Trojan horse that was targeting DeFi. Ask yourselves who really benefits from, exactly what's happening. And I seen this tweet the other day, and it was like, Celsius goes under, Voyager goes under, FTX goes under, all these major places go under. Who has made the money?
CC.
Who has made the money? CC?
CZ.
Yeah. Oh, CZ from Binance. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying the U.S. government?
I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Okay.
I have no idea who could make this. But yeah.
Dave had a really good tweet that he posted on YaBonks' Discord. Something about who's at fault here, or I can't remember. Something was like, and the answer is like, or who isn't at fault here is going to blame for it. It's DeFi, and like, why did DeFi get created to like deal with issues like that? But I can't remember how he worded it, but it was very eloquent. Do you remember that? What he posted, Alex? It was Dave.
Here,
I'll
in my Discord server.
Yeah, here I'll find it. I responded to it. It was really good.
Man, my Discord server has been just blowing up since this FTX thing took off. It's just like so much. Everybody's got all their own takes on it. All these tweets are crazy. So it was Sir Jeff Garzik was.
Oh, is that what I can't find it?
So was it the one where he was saying was SBF lobbying against DeFi?
That's it. That's it.
What would have prevented this? DeFi. What exchanges already publish real-time proof of reserves? DeFi. And what will U.S. regulators try to shut down? DeFi.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Sam Bankman-Fried. By the way, what a weird name, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Bankrupt
Fried. Like
now
dude,
we're just getting into like some tinfoil hat conspiracy right here.
You can't tell me he's not some kind of plant or something like that, or just like that's some weird serendipity of the universe that he's like. It's crazy. And how many millions or billions did he give to certain politicians in the United States to, go towards people's campaign budgets and really like a lot of money, like crazy money. And then he gets crypto regulations passed that are favorable to him, but maybe not favorable to DeFi or the citizenry like us. It benefits him, and then he, can always pitch it under the guise of, oh, we need regulation. It's better for the space. This is better for the people and for crypto as a whole. But is it? Is more government intervention and control really a good thing? To an extent, I think. But if they start stepping on the toes of DeFi and like people run monetary networks and financial systems, then that's where it starts getting a little scary for me, because I like to have options of my monetary systems. These days we're living in this crazy time where we have these different options like Bitcoin and Monero and Ethereum and all the EVM networks. And then you have the Swift banking system and FDIC bank accounts, and you have cash. You still have cash, right? You still have paper money and coins. You can still do actual anonymous deals if you want. You could buy things with cash. That's going to go away soon, by the way, guys. In our lifetimes, they're going to take away cash, right? So it's going to be, everything's going to be watched. Every single thing you do. And if they don't like what you're doing, they as in, the government and banking overlords, they can put pressure on you in different ways. That's going to influence you and your thoughts and how you live your life. And it's scary as hell. I agree.
It's scary as hell.
It's scary as hell. And sorry if that's conspiracy theorist to 1984, but like that's coming, right? Unless something catastrophic happens.
But so to just to lighten the mood a little bit, because we're getting doomsday here. All right. I just want to let everybody know on the stream, we have hit an all-time high on the stream of 54 viewers at one point. I think we hit like 50 was our last time. So 54 is the number to beat. So just real quick, before we get into any more, if you all really
just spam the chat with anything, because it'll double.
Spam the chat with, the algorithm. Let's just freaking lose our minds.
Just watch, it'll double.
Go to Austin, go to my live stream, go to Alex's, go to Enrique, say all-time high in the chat and see it. And but no, I want to say to add to that, Alex, is I was listening to Peter Schiff. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Peter Schiff, but
shit, I think I got gold.
This dude,
I got gold. I got gold right here, bro. Check it out.
So I have never heard of this guy before. Okay, I was referenced to go. No, I've never heard of this guy. So I was referenced to go. He was hosting a Twitter Spaces the other day, and one of my friends in the Dow Kings Discord, Rocky, he was like, "Hey, go check this out." So I go and listen to it. This dude, okay, I can't make this up. I wish I screen recorded this and made it into like a funny video.
Oh my God.
This dude literally was talking about how Bitcoin is useless, how crypto is useless. And he goes, yeah, because gold is where it's at, bro. And he was like, but you can't pay, whoever was on there was like, but you can't pay for something in gold. You can't carry it around. He's like, yeah, I can. What I can do, man, is my debit card is hooked up to my fractionalized gold that then I sell whenever I need to buy something and I swipe it. You can't buy anything with crypto. Okay, crypto. And I was like, for one, and I raised my hand to see if because he was taking on people, but he didn't pick on me. For one, yes, places do accept Bitcoin. Two, there's a crypto.com debit card, which I don't know how long that's going to be working. But number three, you just explained the smart contract process, the transactional process of how crypto works, but even better. Because
and keep in mind, and you don't have to go and destroy a bunch of land, right, to like mine, right? And then if you're lucky enough to find gold, okay, you don't have to worry about transporting it. And if you get through the transporting it, now you have to refine it. And after you refine it,
you have to protect
it. And after you store it, you have to protect it. He didn't even mention all that.
when I went to Africa, with Project 79 and James Pelton and Drew Wolfer and Max Cashflow, I learned a lot about the gold supply chain and how it is fraught with so much risk, death, child labor, slavery, war, just the body count for the precious gems and metals industry over in Africa, especially in countries that are afflicted by war and tribalism and things like that, is very scary. And that's why, like, Project 79, for instance, like, went very far out of their way to get like fully auditable certification for the, what is it, the GL, I forget the exact name. I got it written down here. I'm actually working on my video for them right now, but I've been doing research into the ICGLR regulatory body and framework for mines and countries and supply chains for allowing certain gold from certain mines that has like a audit trail all the way back, that it's not child labor, it's not slavery, all that kind of stuff. And it makes it more expensive, so your profit margins go down. But if you're unscrupulous, you can get gold for as cheap as you can, and there's a human price to pay on that. So mining new gold is fraught with dangers, and that's someplace where I actually think blockchain can improve their supply chain. So if you have a blockchain, fully auditable, immutable, transparent, then you can actually in real time see which gold is not doesn't have those issues. It could really clean up that industry very quickly. Sorry to go off on a tangent there, but you got me thinking about all that. So I know Render TV asked a question.
So he asked about Bybit. I wanted to answer that because I think this is really, really important for a number of reasons. First of all, look, I'm an affiliate for one of Bybit's competitors, and even I don't keep like tons and tons of money in there just because you have to be so careful. But I do want to say something. You're going to see a lot in regards to proof of reserves, and just even when that comes out with proof of reserves, regardless of whether it's Bybit or Coinbase, I'm not too worried about. Coinbase will put them in a different spot. But whether it's let's use Bybit for example, and they come out with their proof of reserves. The proof of reserves don't tell you everything. Okay, I was a staff auditor for a few years at Ernst & Young. And I know a bit about this, and I can tell you guys that by them telling you what the proof of reserves is, without telling you what's behind it, how much of those tokens have actually been sold or fractioned off or lent and that kind of thing, it's like a tiny little part of the story. So don't fall prey to proof of reserve of like, oh, the proof of reserve says we're good, I'm going to keep 90% of my crypto in there. Don't do it. Don't do it, guys. I wanted to answer that because that is pretty important.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah.
I did not know you were an Ernst & Young auditor in your career. That's my whole family has
in my 20s.
Half of the members in my family have worked as auditors for Ernst & Young in their careers. It's an amazing company to work for. It's one of the big four, you know.
Yeah, well, at the time it was Big Six, right? Because this was like 20 years ago. But they'll tell you the same thing I'll tell you. I left just because the hours. They expected so much out of you as far as hours. It was insane.
Busy season. It's like 100+ hour weeks. I remember.
No, all year. It's all year. It's 80-hour weeks. So I was like, nah, I can't do this.
God.
Yeah, it was insane.
Hey, so speaking of occupations and stuff, Alchemy. One thing I was really wanting to ask you is, I think I remember seeing you maybe mention this. Maybe not. I don't know. I talked to a lot of people. Did you say you were a prior trader, or like what did you do as far as your previous occupation that now you have this ability to like just work on this product 24/7?
So my degree is in psychology.
Okay.
Completely related to what I do now. I don't know. I got extremely lucky in DeFi. I went from 4K to 7 million in a couple weeks, or not a couple months.
What?
So I just
what?
Did you trade that, or did you? Yeah, hold up. Did you trade that, or did you like just get lucky with like a meme coin? Like, how did you do this?
I started in it was in Safe Moon day 3, 4K, made a whole lot of money, and then just moved around to other projects and have done well. So I'm lucky that I don't need to do anything. I mean, I don't have, that was not completely all realized. There's other aspects, but I'm lucky enough that I don't need to work per se. And so all I do is I just I just write this code and make this nonstop all day. I legit will code for 12 hours a day, every day, because I love doing, like, this is what I love doing. I'm not a coder. My degree is not in coding. I don't have anything like that. I completely taught myself how to do all of this. But it's just something that I love to do.
This dopamine.
Dave
every time you get something working, everything you get working, it's like huge dopamine hit. I love programming too for that. It's just it can be very enjoyable, especially if you're doing it for fun and not for somebody else building stuff you don't care about.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love it. It's literally, this is my job. It's what I do. If I don't want to code a day, I don't code that day. If I want to code for 18 hours, I code for 18 hours. It's a giant. To me, it's a giant puzzle, and it's just fun figuring out that puzzle.
So
Absolutely.
where this is a money podcast, DeFi money and everything else, I would love to ask you this question. So you turned 4,000 into $7 million. What did you do with that money to kind of, now you gained wealth. Now you're in kind of like this wealth preservation mode where I'm sure you're not putting $7 million into the next meme coin because you don't need to. You can just get 4 or 5% interest a year and be fine. Like, what are you doing with this large sum of money that you can kind of be safe with and be okay in life now?
I just let my accountant deal with it.
Oh, so you just hired an accountant. You were like, here, I'm gonna give you the problems.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Gotcha.
So I 7 million was my cap. It's not like I've walked out with that much. But
Yeah.
I've seen at the highest, my unrealized, my highest was 21 million at its peak. So I just got,
Wow.
I mean, I put things into token. Like I'm big into AVAX, into BNB and these layer ones, and just kind of hold them, things in stables, things in, where my accountant does have me have in some other things, but just kind of do what I want. I mean, not in the sense that I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm amazing and know what I'm doing. I would never recommend anyone do what I did to get, I got extremely lucky. It's not like the average person can go turn 4K and let's turn that into, a whole bunch of money. That's not recommend that. I would not recommend you throw 4K into a token like that ever,
Crypto Aaron said, picker, it didn't happen.
I mean, I have picks. You don't need to see them, but I have them.
Background
noise.
Are you doxxed, by the way?
background.
I'm assuming you're not doxxed because you're not on video right now. I said, I don't know anything about you or your team, so.
Yeah, we're KYC'd with Obsidian, but I'm not like fully doxxed or anything.
Okay. Yeah.
We got a question here by Serenity. What's up, Serenity? They said, what would you say as a minimum capital entry to make a trading bot truly worth the purchase price? Because the purchase price is $500 for your software.
Yeah, so it for that depends on the network. A lot of the biggest obstacle is overcoming the price of gas. It's just simply as that. Every transaction is gas. So, you go to a chain like Matic, which is pretty cheap on gas. You can get away with significantly less. If you want to try to grid trade on ETH, I would not recommend it. But you would need a significant amount of money to overcome those gas fees. Something like Phantom Matic, you can get away. We can get away with like $100. BNB AVAX, we recommend like 500, but that's, again, you could do it with less. You could do it with $40. Your grids are just going to have to be, you're going to have some pretty significant changes in prices before they activate.
Can you, with your grid bots, can you change the size of like the percentage of its when it takes a profit? So like it'll make a trade after it goes up or down 1%, or you could change it to maybe 2%. So if you're on like Ethereum, you could have a grid that's like 0, 10%, 20%, 30. And then that way, if you're playing with like $50,000 Ethereum grid bot, that like $10 to $20 potential gas fee at that time, at this time of this recording, it could be just like relational. It could be proportional to like if you're on Binance Smart Chain or BNB Smart Chain with $1,000, can you scale it like that? Do you have that much flexibility with your bots?
So a little bit. We're constantly developing and adding more things to it. One of the key features we do have is what we call Profit Guard. So before you even start, it does calculate the DEX fees and the gas prices with like a 20% increase in case gas changes. And it won't let you start a bot that would ever have you lose money due to gases and DEX fees. You can only start a bot that would each successful trade would end in a net gain.
Okay, so it has like a minimum grid size, grid partition size. Okay,
yeah, you put
that's
in your range. You know, you go to Pionix, you put in a range that says, hey, you can do 150 grids. 150 grids may not make you money, but you can do 150 grids if you wanted. We tell you, you put in your range, and it tells you, okay, you can only do between 2 and this many, and anything more than that is no longer profitable for you.
Right, because there's like that golden zone of like the grid partition size based on like, you know, what your trading fees are and the volatility of whatever pair you're trading. So there's like that golden zone you kind of got to tweak. That's interesting that you automate that aspect of it a bit. Because as a first-time GridBot user, I was like, what is ideal for, you know, BTC / USDC or whatever I was trading on Pionex or / BUSD on Pionex, and I had to like do a lot of research and, you know, testing and stuff to figure out like my sweet spot that was most profitable for the volatility at that time, where it was like in that chop of a certain channel, it was still making small trades, making scalps, slowly accumulating, and but if I made the grid partition size too big, maybe the volatility wasn't enough to actually trigger any of the trades, and then
absolutely.
And then
that's one of our favorite things about our community, and Austin can tell you about that, is there's an entire section that is just for about owners, and anyone will tell you there are settings if you ask them. They will, you know, it is. I'd say I'm super proud of our community that you just go ask. They'll tell you what they're, you know, I've made 6% on X, you know, X pairing, and you say, you know, what are your settings? Here you go. Here are my settings. They'll, you know, everyone will just straight up tell you anything you want to know about what they're running. Like we don't keep it secret. We don't do any of that. It's group shared.
Do you have a reverse grid bot so that way you can play the macroeconomic trends? If you think, you know, it's over time, the pair is going to go like this.
I have yes and no. I'm adding a traditional reverse grid, but the one thing that I can do that's different than CX's is I can reverse the pairs already. So if you're trading, you know, AVAX, you know, when you go to a CX, you can only trade it the way it's set. So it's BTC, USDT, you can only trade it that way.
Right.
So like on a popular one that I trade is BNB AVAX. I can do it BNB AVAX, or I can flip it and do it the reverse. Both ways let me do it the way my bot is set up.
Cool, man. That's very clever. I think that's awesome. I didn't even think about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we have lots of things coming up. The one that we're most excited for is we have found a formula that, like I said, it's the biggest overcome right now is gas prices and overcoming gas. So, you know, there's a minimum there's a minimum that the grid has to be just because you're overcoming that gas prices. We have found a way to reduce that grid size by 5x and still overcome gas the same way. So we can have much tighter grids and much tighter, you know, and make more profit opportunities and still not have to worry about gas the way it is set up.
And that's why I think a DeFi trading bot like this, for TA stuff especially, makes more sense than a CeFi, a centralized exchange trading bot, because on Pionex, they have like the lowest centralized exchange trading fees because they're using Binance and they have a monster Binance account. So it gives them like the lowest trading fees you can get on Binance, but it's still like 0.0025% or something. Like I could be completely wrong, and my scale could be off, but you know what I mean? Like a retail trader would get like 0.05% or whatever, and they're doing like 0.025%, something like that. You know, check me. I'm probably way off on that, but the concept's the same. But with DeFi, you don't have a proportional trading fee, because like on AVAX, for instance, your trading fee might be like a penny or a fraction of a penny or a couple pennies, no matter the size of your position. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so you have the DEX fees. The DEXs all have their fees. We recommend the ones obviously that have the cheaper ones. But the what I think is the biggest impact is that because they're automated markets compared to, you know, peer-to-peer markets, you get those drastic swings. You can have an opportunity, even in a pretty big token or a pretty big coin, that a single buy moves at 2% and you've moved up 3 grids. you just get those
Right.
that constant volatility within DeFi that you don't get as much on central exchanges, just because they're protected by their market makers.
Right, dude, and the efficiencies you gain from a constant, super cheap transaction fee for each grid bot transaction, that is very significant. So, like a centralized exchange bot, that is like the biggest limiter, I think, for the profitability, even if you're in a super volatile asset. Now, with that being said, you did mention you have the ability to make a reverse grid bot like process. Do you have that already where you can hedge your, like, if you have like the trading pair one way like this in a macroeconomic trend, can you set another bot like at this point in time to kind of hedge it? Like, can you run two bots at the same time with the pairs?
Yeah, you can run as many bots as you possibly. Yeah, as many bots as you want. As long as your computer can handle it, you can run as many bots as you want. I mean, I did the same thing. I set up when the market went down the other day. I had BNB, AVAX, and Matic all set reverse. So I was just, as the price was going down, I was just DCAing all the way down. I set my grids extremely wide. I think I had my BNB like bottomed out at like 100, and AVAX bottomed out at like 5, just so it would like guarantee I didn't have to watch it, and just started accumulating on the way down. And then I got lucky, we found what I thought was the bottom at the time, moved all my remaining stables into those tokens, and brought it back up.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. You have that level of flexibility. Because I heard, so I heard somebody in the community say, oh, well, Alchemy only has like a one style grid bot, but if you just inverse the pairs, you got a reverse grid bot inherently. I think that's awesome. Also, do you have how much exposure, how much drawdown do you have per trade on your grid bot? Or is that customizable as well?
Yeah, it's because it just comes down to your risk style and your risk cap. I mean, your drawdown in any grid is really how low are you letting your grids go. If you're gonna set your bottom of your grids down to 100% loss, then you're at 100% loss. It depends on how tight you make them, where you put your stop losses. It's very customizable in that aspect. You can keep super tight grids where you're not missing. That drawback from that is not very high, or drawdown is not very high. You can set super wide ranges where the drawback is higher, and it's just something that you kind of get to set yourself.
Okay. Do you have like a sweet spot or an optimal setting that you recommend? Like what percentage of your entire position is used in your ideal trade in a grid bot? Like what, 1%, 5%?
So how you're saying how much of your, let's say I have $10,000, how much would I want to be running on at any one time, or in general, like how much would I want to allocate to the bot to run?
So say you put in like $10,000. When it hits that first grid line, does it make a trade with $1,000 of that 10,000, or $100 of that 10,000, or $5,000 of that 10,000? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, so it depends on your grid amount. So I know you said you do grading, but just for the basic people that don't know, when you start up your grid, it finds the nearest grid you're at, and it will buy the appropriate amount for that grid level you're at. So if you have 10 grids and you start at grid level 5 with $10,000, it's going to immediately buy $5,000 worth of that. To leave $5,000. So it has $5,000 to sell at the grids below, or to buy at the grids below to accumulate, and it has $5,000 worth of the token to sell on the way up. So it's selling $1,000. It's selling $1,000 per grid because you're 1,000 or 10,000 divided by 10.
Got it. All right. And say I put in like USDC or whatever, or like, how does this work? Do you have to put in one of the assets in that pair? So if it's like BTC / or like say it's like BNB / B or BUSD, would I have to put in one or the other or both? What if I had $1,000 in USDC and I wanted to get into that pair? Does it just automatically take that, split it into both assets 50-50, and then adjust it?
Yeah. So right now, the way it does it is, again, so your pair is, the one I use most commonly is AVAX USDC. So I would start with my funds in USDC, and as the bot starts, it will then buy over the appropriate amount to start the bot at that level. What we're planning on doing is the inverse, or not the inverse, but the opposite, where you could already have it split 50-50, and it will just buy the slight offset difference it needs. So you're not, and that's more for those people that want to play with $30,000-$40,000.
Right.
If you do that on like an AVAX, it's no big deal. That the price impact is very minimal. Even spending $100,000 is very minimal on AVAX. But you do it on something that's liquidity is like $2 million, and $50,000 is gonna move that chart a little bit.
Right. Yeah, Crypto Aaron has a great question. Why sell the bot when you can operate it yourself? And this is the main question I hear
every time
about trading bots. Is people like, well,
Yeah.
if these trading bots are so successful, why even share it? Why not just use it yourself and become infinitely rich?
I mean, I do use it. It's not like I don't use it, but why not also share it? We have seen and understand that there's a bad connotation with bots in DeFi. You have the sandwich bots, you have the sniper bots, you have those bots, and those ones are set up that they're super competitive. You need to be the first one in, need to be the first one out, type of situation. And we have a situation with these grid bots that it doesn't really matter if you share your settings. It's super uncompetitive, and the aspect is, as long as we're not controlling 30-40% of the entire volume, you get on a bigger token that's not got that volume. You could have 7 people run the same pair and it works just fine for the same person, because their price impacts are very minimal on these bigger tokens, and that there's enough volume around it to just keep it going.
Now, I do see, like with low liquidity pairs and things like that there's probably a limit to the total amount of capital deployed to any of these bots across the entire system before it starts having like deleterious slippage effects and weird effects on the market itself. Have you run into that yet with any pairs with your aggregate trading system?
I've stabilized a pair. We completely almost algo stabilized a token because we had enough people running on it. Yeah, it was pretty much pegged at the same price for like.
That's YaBonks, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we did that. I mean, there's always the impact of if you have a $1,000 trade and it's got a 20% price impact, you don't want to do that because you immediately are losing $20. You're losing 20% because of that impact. But as long as we're always working on ways to make it better. We're we're adding in so you can see what your price impact is going to be beforehand. But as long as your price impact, if you're on a token, like I said, AVAX USDC, that's honestly what I would recommend to anyone get in for the first time, because it's such a big pair. You can drop in whatever amount of money you want, and your price impact is less than 1%. So it doesn't really make a difference.
Interesting. Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Pringles. Thank you, Ron, dude. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Pringles, man.
Thanks, guys.
Him and Croc kill it with the donos. We have
they're basically supporting the animal sanctuary themselves at this point. Yeah.
So I just saw this real quick. I talk about the one from Crypto Aaron, the one that just came in.
Yeah, Crypto Aaron. He's a little speculative.
And there's so he had a question. He said the next trend will be AI learning to find these bots running and their algorithms to counter trade them for guaranteed profit, and that's already happening. I've actually been talking with an AI trading bot developer and his team. Austin, you talked with them too already, the Battle Stakes guys, and they're working with machine learning using large data sets to optimize predictive trading bots that will be basically front running the overall market moves based on the indicators that all of the TA trading bots are using. What's your response to that?
So in terms of like a central exchange, there's that they can absolutely do that. There's because it's peer to peer. One of the benefits we do is in that crypto has in general is that slippage. You set your slippage at 0.1%, and if someone front runs you, then your transaction just fails. It just doesn't buy, and so you don't have to worry about being front. That is always a risk with taxless tokens, is that there's someone running a front run bot that is just looking for a token looking for a trader.
So I'm not talking like a MEV bot, a maximum extractable value front running sandwich bot. I mean a bot that predicts like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 blocks ahead of the market indicators that would trigger the movements that would cross the grid lines of your bot. So basically, like front running the TA of the entire TA trading bots all across the whole system. These AI predictive bots can get like an advantage where they're like maybe 5-15 minutes ahead of all those movements, or maybe an hour or two ahead of all those movements, and they can take positions here, knowing everybody else's, all their bots are going to push the price up to here, and so they buy here, and then they sell here, and then all the other bots start coming down again. And anyway, that's kind of bot I was talking about. I think that Aaron was talking about as well.
Ours kind of that to me, that doesn't really seem to be an impact to us specifically, because it's grid trading is not TA driven. I mean, yes, it is in the sense that you are looking for those highs and those lows areas. But if someone moves you up to a grid now or an hour ago or in an hour, it doesn't matter. It just buys when it crosses that buy limit and sells when it crosses the sell limit.
That's a good point. That's a good point. A grid trading bot's kind of arbitrary in that sense, where it doesn't matter the TA indicators at all. It just worries about volatility in general. So yeah. I think maybe I was thinking more of like an Astrobit style bot system.
Yeah, those ones I can 100% see that, where you can see, okay, the TA says it's going to do this. I'm predicting, and that almost becomes like the people that are stop loss hunting, that are selling to catch those. I mean, it's similar idea. I mean, doing it more as a bot related topic, but similar ideas is stop loss hunting.
Yeah, so that's an awesome distinction I think we all just came to, and thanks, Aaron, for that stimulating question, that a grid bot isn't really affected by the new AI bots that are the predictive bots that are going to be coming out, and they've been used for years, especially on like Forex and the stock market. Like, you got the Chicago like building, and like they're trying to get like the fiber wire that's like 100 meters from the actual building, so they can they get the speed on all that. Like, so that stuff's been around for a long time. We're seeing that coming into the crypto space and the DeFi space now. And so grid bots are kind of immune to that sort of thing. They just care about volatility in general. And so like the
I just care that the price passes up. Yeah, I care that the price passes to a certain level or drops to a certain level. That's all I care about. I don't care how it happens. I don't care if it happens an hour ago, if it happens in 2 hours, if it happens in 30 seconds. As long as it passes, that's all I care about.
That's interesting. And it technically, I mean, in theory, at some level, you could almost say a grid bot is like a MEV bot in a way, because like you said, you've almost algorithmically stabilized certain trading pairs, because your trades are just going to be capitalizing on the value, extracting the value from the volatility. But in doing so, if it gets enough of the market of that pair, it can lower the volatility to where it's almost stabilized.
Oh yeah, no. If you see the chart that we were on, there was the candles were small candles with huge wicks, because we would just sell down anything that was that was a huge buy, and we would buy up any huge sell. So the wicks just became really long with tiny candles. And the nice thing was that it was kind of algo stable, but it still allowed for movement up, because we don't sell, what hits its lowest grid, it doesn't sell anymore. So if someone if you get up to that grid above, then that's your new floor, and you get up to the new grid, that's the new floor for the token. So it does allow for growth to happen. It just minimizes that. I don't want to say minimizes, because the growth is still there, but it slows down that volatility for that token per se.
Hey, I was going to say, Mr. Pringles just got me $10 closer to my kids being able to have a college fund. So thank you, Mr.
Bro, Mr. Pringles went to every.
Thanks, Mr. Pringles.
He went to every streamer and sent us all $10. Thank you so much, man. That's so kind of you. Seriously,
dude.
Wow. Yeah, thank you, dude. I've known Mr. Pringles since March now. He's a good dude. Yeah,
Clearly.
So that's awesome. Thanks so much, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got Croc. What's up, Croc? They said, put it this way, and this is a really good point that I've been trying to tell people. Like when I talk about Alchemy Trades or literally any bot that I use, and you'll see this in my video next week. He said, put it this way: I've tried dozens of bots since blah blah blah. MT3's beta program. I don't know what that is. Free ones, set it and forget it. Anywhere from 0.5% to 5% a day. All of them require too much human. Like these bots, like especially with me when I've been running the Alchemy bot, you have to make sure you're checking on them. Like the Alchemy bots, I check on them at least 2-3 times a day to make sure the parameters are still in the right area. it's profitable, all that stuff. Should I cut my losses? Did the token just plummet? I don't know. But yeah, you definitely steal with these bots. I don't think there's a bot out there, and if they do claim it, they're probably a scam or just they suck. I don't think there's a bot out there that you should just set it and forget it, because it's your money.
That wrong, then?
Alchemy said, "Is he doing it wrong?"
I think you are 100% right in some aspects. For me personally, I've been running an AVAX USDC pair for 5 weeks straight, just because I just have it set at a wide range, and I just let it go. And technically, my AVAX is down, or the price of AVAX is down from where I've started, but I've accumulated enough funds and profit that I'm actually still positive from where I am. But I agree that would only really be something you should do on something that you have faith in, or something that you believe is a long-term. I wouldn't do that on some random meme coin that you don't know if it's going to exist in 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I used to do a similar strategy, a long-term bot that I would rarely check on Pionex, and they had a coin rebalancer bot that would basically be like you create your your ETF or like your little like portfolio, and I would pick like Bitcoin and Ethereum, 2 things that I'm bullish in long term, and I'm okay holding those for years and years. And it would just basically, like, when the price of one to the other makes a difference where it can make a little bit of a profit and add to your overall position, it does that, and it just basically fluctuates between these 2 assets, and the entire position grows as a whole. So I was okay with trading or holding.
Yeah, so we're also adding that similar feature that that Pionex has, but with the capability of, again, back in DeFi, and I am making it where it's not just a 2 pair. It's not just a 2 token pair. You could have 10, 20 tokens if you wanted to rebalance. Every hour,
nice.
Takes the total funds, rebalances it back to where it should be, and continues going.
So what,
Nice.
because Mr. Pringles earlier stated, hey, I think I'm done with DeFi. I think I'm going to try bots next. So I think some people, or maybe a lot of people, are going to try something different, right? Because of the downturn, they've lost money or whatever. So I do have a question. Do you have any way of being able to monitor the results of all of your customers, or is that, I don't understand how the integration works. So is that something that you have access to?
We don't, but that's by choice. I 100% could if I wanted to, but we choose not to. We choose to make it so it is completely yours, completely independent. You own the software. There's no phone home. There's there's 2 outgoing connections. One is to our licensing software the first time you start up the bot, which is the same licensing software that Spotify uses, and then it's your connections to the blockchain, and that's it. Everything else is run locally on your own computer, or we have lots of people that run it on virtual private servers, so they can access it from anywhere. But no, we don't collect or keep any data, and I don't have a need for that, in my opinion.
I mean, I think I'd be curious.
Yeah, I mean, there's some curiosities between it, but I also like the idea. Again, we're in DeFi. I don't want to be tracking your every movement. And
absolutely, yeah.
How secure is it? So what do you just like give your, so it's a downloadable program. I'm guessing you run this on mainly Windows? Is it like mainly a Windows
Windows,
executable?
we have Mac, Windows, and Linux.
Oh, okay, interesting. So and then you give it access to control like your MetaMask wallet or your trust fund or your trust wallet.
You use your this is the one thing that people have if you bits with, and I can explain all of what happens with it. It uses a private key for a wallet. Just for people that don't know, there's a big difference between your seed phrase and your private key. A seed phrase is your entire MetaMask account. It is every single wallet that has ever existed within that account. Your private key is only access to that one wallet, that one OX wallet. It's the only thing it has access to. And there is a reason we need it. It allows us to bypass MetaMask's approval function. So when you do a swap on MetaMask and you have to click approve, it's just doing a handshake signature with your private key to the blockchain saying, yep, this is us, we're doing this. So we get to bypass that, which means that allows us so you don't have to sit at your computer and every time a grid happens, you have to push approve and have to push approve. But it's all stored locally on your computer. Like I said, there are 2 outgoing connections. You can track them. My dev partner is a cybersecurity expert, It's 15 years cybersecurity. He's got some high level clearances. And so everything is pen tested very hard before we push anything out, to make it as secure as we possibly can. Because I know 100% the aspect of DeFi and the fears of it being shady and being scammy and being scummy, and I get that. And so we do as much as we possibly can. And again, another reason why we don't take your information is because we want to make sure you feel 100% secure in everything that you do. The biggest risk is if your computer were to become compromised, and that's
what I was thinking too. Yeah.
At that point, nothing is safe. There's no one can protect you if your computer becomes compromised.
And Nate here had a great. I was thinking the same thing. Nate said that is standard smart contract functionality. Just use a wallet for that and that alone. Do not use your everyday MetaMask wallet and secret. So I agree. Make a new wallet for this, specifically for that. Put the exact amount of money you want to play with in that wallet, and then that way you lessen any exposure to your main stuff in case like somebody gets onto your local computer through a hack or an exploit with something else you're doing, and then sees this program running that's controlling that MetaMask integration. So that's great.
We recommend that. That's part of we recommend just good security, crypto security in general is always use a new wallet, always have these things that, have a new wallet and only fund it with what you're available losing, just like you would with a normal trade. That if your computer is compromised, only that is taken. As long as your MetaMask is safe, only that is taken.
All right, good to know. And I know Enrique wants to show something here, and I also want to at some point backtrack to Aaron's question about scalability of these bots and how much an investor could deploy and if it would still be profitable. 5K, 500,000, or 50 million, and get similar percentage
$2
results. Yeah.
I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where we want to start. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show was, because I know that a few of you asked, well, why haven't you shown anything in regards to like actual showing how breaking down and kind of imagining the possible with where we're going, but why, right? Instead of just saying, well, the TA states this. So I just wanted to show just real quick, guys, it'll take less than 5 minutes probably, or 3 minutes. Just real quick, a really easy way or an example of how to do this in a very easy way. So the first thing you have to do is you have to start clean. So this is a clean chart. This is not. This is a clean chart. And you want to zoom out. So as you guys can see up here, I'm in the 1 month chart. So, and then what you want to do is just find some very, very obvious resistance and support levels. So the first one would be, as far as support, the most obvious one on a monthly scale would probably be something around 20,000, right? And I think we've seen that one, something around here. Probably be a lot easier to see in the weekly, but I think that's good enough for this example. So we'll put that right there. Close enough. 19.9 is kind of like where we want to be. And then as far as lines of support, right, for the next big line of support, you guys can probably see that pretty darn easily, right? And it's going to be this one right here, which should be about 13.8. So why is it? Because if we do 13.8, 13.9, hold on one sec.
Are you using Wix for these?
No. I'm using
bodies?
both. I'm using both for the vertical lines, for the support levels. But if we were to actually do trend lines, then you have to pick one or the other, unless if you're on the monthly. But like if you're on a 4 hour or daily, you really want to use either bodies and bodies or wicks and wicks. You don't want to mix them. But for what we're doing here, especially on a very, very long time frame, it's okay to use both. So as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6. And here comes number 7 touch points for 14K. I'm not being very detailed. It should be closer to 13.8 if I zoomed in and really made it tight. But I just want to show an example. So it's really 13.8, but we'll just go with 14.
Is that right to say that that's an area of confluence? I hear a lot of TA traders say like there are a lot of confluence at this price level where there's a lot of support and resistance points along it, like you just showed.
I'm going to try to show confluence. We're going to see if we can do it. We're going to do it together. But it's more support, that there's just so many different lines of support, which I guess create confluence. Yeah. So there you have that. And then the next one, looking down here, again, it'd probably be easier doing the weekly, but I'm trying not to take forever. this is probably good enough right here on 11, somewhere between 11.5, 11.8. We'll just go with this one right here. So that should be probably another very nice line of support that we could probably trust. But again, I'm trying to be quick about it, but we're pretty close. I'm a couple $100 off. So first we'll start there. So that's how you start off, and you know that long-term time frame. These are some support levels and resistance levels that you could probably trust a little bit, or at least work off of. So now what we want to see is, well, where do we anchor this? Like, where do we come from? Like, where are we going to find confluence? Because you kind of beat me to it, Alex. Well, I think the easiest way to find confluence, and there's a couple different ways you can do it, would be to go to the weekly. And we just know from historical, craziness and really bad days for Bitcoin. We know that we had one in December 2018. And that was probably kind of like, where things really went bad during that first crazy, manic, everyone loves crypto phase. So we're going to start there. We're going to anchor our line, trying to imagine the possible, trying to find some kind of level of confluence. So we'll start right there. Again, I'm being very, very fast about this. Alex, you kind of beat me to the punch. Asking here, I'm not gonna anchor it off this, because if not, we'll never get there, off this horrible low. This was a black swan event. This was March of 2020. We all know what happened there. So we really want to go with the close there. It just makes more sense. So we're going to go with something like that. And that just makes a million times more sense. Again, I can really make these nice and tight, but I just want to, for the example, I just want to go with that. So now, so we can see it better, we're going to go to the 1 month. And now we're going to stretch this out a little bit. And that's good enough for our example. It's good enough. We can definitely make it prettier, but you guys can work on this on your own. So now this is where the conversation of confluences. So this thing that we anchored from all the way back in 2018, look how it starts to kind of touch on and maybe create confluence with these lines of support, right? The one at 13.8 to 14,000 and the one around 11,000 to 11.8. So then we want to look at our indicators. We want to look at the oscillators, see if we can imagine anything there. That does not help. We're going to have to zoom in. Let's go to the 1 week. We may have to go to the daily. No, that'll work. So basically here, what we're trying to do is use the indicators to, like I said, imagine the possible. So here, I'm just going to do this a very random line here. Maybe that's it. What am I trying to imagine here? What I'm trying to imagine here is we need to see bullish divergence somehow, right? In some way, shape, or form in order to really get that kickstart. And it needs to kind of be in line with that trend line that we drew all the way back from 2018, right? So how do we do that? Well, this is where we have to get kind of like creative. So maybe say that this will touch down here, form a lower high, and then form a higher low and touch down here. And then this is where all the moon boys can go crazy. Moon boys can be happy and smiles and everyone's making money. So let's see if that can happen. So we'll go over here. We'll go back to here. So remember that. Now, for a lot of the questions that were asked earlier, when bull run start? When bull run start? Guys, I mean, look, I'm being very undetailed. So it's probably going to be much longer. But, I mean, maybe January 23rd of next year. And again, I'm doing this very quickly just to give you an example of how to do this. If done really right, I'm guessing it would probably be closer to May or something like that. But again, we're just doing a fun example. So now we're going to look for that confluence that Alex talked about. And how are we going to find that? Well, again, we have to go to our drawing tool and we're going to try to imagine something possible. So as you can see, we're about to hit that 14K that I think will be trusted. So you got to assume that we're going to bounce off it. But then you got to assume that we're probably, this line of resistance here is going to be hardcore. We're not going to be able to pass it. We can get to it. I don't even know if we can. So we're probably going to test it again. We test it again. We don't hold. That's when we hit this line of confluence. So in this example I gave right now, it would be here. Looking at that, we're looking at maybe around 13K there. Maybe.
And that's not
right?
That's not including a potential wick based on your lower line, because you used a body. Right. So if there's another black swan event, when it hits that bottom and it wicks down that week or something to like 11 or 12K and then comes back up to form that bottom of the candle at that line, like I think that's a possibility as well. Absolutely.
So now, as you see there, this kind of matches up more with what we talked about, where we're going to need to see bullish divergence in some way, shape, or form, right? We're going to have to see it. And maybe, oh, wait, I got to go back to the weekly. maybe, just maybe, that's how it's going to happen. So when I was so steadfast about the fact that I just don't really see how we found a bottom, it's because we hadn't seen anything like that. And we hadn't even come close to this trend line that I think is going to come into play one way or another. I don't know. Hold on. Go back to monthly. Don't know how, don't know where, but I think that this trend line historically might be where we kind of kick off the next bull run. Now, where can that happen? If we tighten this up, it could happen more over here, summer 2023. And again, just because that line of support, just because that confluence is there, doesn't necessarily mean we could, after hitting that, kind of mess around for a bit and then hit it again much higher, but painting a higher low. And then that's where we can really, really start to get excited. So unfortunately, that's how I see it, that we're going to need to hit that at some point in time. Again, is it for sure going to happen? No, it doesn't have to happen. Could we maybe meander between these two lines for another, what was it, 160 days that we were in that weird range? Sure, it could happen. And the longer it takes, as you see this anchor support trend line from all the way in 2018 is trending up, right? So the longer that we take to hit it, the higher up we will be when we hit it. So again, that does make it pretty interesting because, well, we're kind of running out of time a little bit if we're not going to hit it, like I said before, like summer 2023. So something probably does have to happen kind of soon. I kind of had told, our guest a few seconds ago, or a few minutes ago at the start, I told him, I kind of feel like that capitulation has to happen sooner rather than later. This is why I think it has to happen rather than later, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen. Now, if we do not hold at this trend line that we anchored here, that's when it really gets ugly. I haven't even charted that.
Red days, man.
I don't want to think about that. Yeah, I don't want to think about that. That's just where you just say, oh crap. That's all you can say there. So I just kind of wanted to show that as to like how I foresee things happening. And I think it's something like that. And for those of you wondering, why I was so steadfast about it is because I feel like if I'm using a trend line that's back from 2018, I feel it's something that we can trust. And I definitely feel that when that hits, that would be a great time to really, really, load up on Bitcoin or on whatever else you want. But you never know. You never know what could happen.
I'm also waiting for the line break the line break chart with the weak candles to show that first green, to actually print the green line break candle. And that hasn't happened yet either. So before I start just accumulating for super long positions, besides the stuff that I'm always holding, before I really start accumulating heavy and increasing my DCA big time, I'm looking for that first green candle that we talked about here like 5 episodes ago on that line break chart with the weekly candles. Once that first green prints, that's my best indicator because of all of the TA indicators for Bitcoin. This is the only one I believe that hasn't failed yet. Now, obviously, it's crypto. Anything can happen. Markets are crazy. People can manipulate it to try to trick people. So maybe somebody throws a wrench in the gears of that hypothesis this time around. But that's what I'm personally looking for to start increasing my DCAing. So anyway, and I think that lines up with your
I think about you every
well.
time I check it. I check that once a week now. I go to line break. That's why I went to it so quickly because I have memorized. And I think about our conversation, and I check it every week. Yeah, kind of like you. I'm really hoping we can see green there soon, but I think it'll be sooner or later rather than sooner.
I think your TA and the thesis you just painted for us has a much better predictive potential on time frames, where the line break it warps time. Like you can't tell how long any one of these candles. Like one of these candles could be a week long. One of these candles could be 2 months long. Really, it distorts the time with these candles. So your way of doing it, though, really kind of gives you a potential time frame. And you're thinking like somewhere between now and like mid 2023.
Yeah, I think somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it could happen as early as soon if we get that capitulation. But yeah, but yeah, maybe Q1 or
as early
Q2
as
next
soon.
year. But yeah, I think it's going to take a while, and I think all this stuff with Sam Bankrupt-Fraud did it. I really do. So yeah, so I think that's kind of like where we're at. Austin, you were asking me about low timeframes. I don't feel comfortable talking real low timeframes. I don't feel like I have the experience for that. So I stick to longer timeframes, and that seems to serve me okay. Shorter timeframes, I think it's just different. I feel like it's like it's like assuming that someone that's really good at tennis is going to be really good at ping pong. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. So yeah, I think it's important to stick to something you're good at and really focus on it.
Yeah,
it's like golf. Are you
I've
good
been
at
learning
putting, or are you good at driving?
Mm-hmm.
I've been definitely learning a lot of different trading techniques, watching tons of content, including some of the stuff you talk about. And I think one thing I personally have been finding some decent success in is just, quick scalps, 30-minute, 15-minute, maybe an hour if I'm like swinging into something, like if I see like a cool little pattern, like a bull flag, bear flag, something that takes a little bit to kind of form. I've been finding some decent success in that. So yeah, it's kind of like, as I'm learning this, is exactly what you said, where you're talking about these larger time frame plays, and it's like just talking about a whole different sport. Like we're talking about sports, but you're talking about basketball and I'm talking about football. So it's two different arenas. So yeah, it's pretty fun, man. I love learning about it.
Reminds me of Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff's thinking in decades with his gold calls, right? Like that dude's thinking
Centuries.
super long term. But like you're sitting here, like Austin's like last week, you're like, dude, I just made like $2,000 on a trade or something. It was fucking insane, right? Excuse my language, YouTube algorithm. But like you can make more in like a short period of time if you're good and disciplined. Like Austin, it sounds like you excel at setting up short to midterm TA setups and executing them based on your plan, right? Whereas like somebody like me who tries to trade short-term day or swing trading, I'm just like, I see something move fast and I click a button, dude. And I throw my whole thesis out the window that I've been working on all morning. And then I'm just like, what have I done? Whereas if you can follow and execute your plan to trade something in a setup that you've been planning, I think you can have a lot of success there. Enrique, you're really great at this too. And I also like, Enrique, you also bring like the longer term macro TA to it to show like, okay, if you're a super long-term DCA style investor, not so much a trader, but an investor who wants to accumulate for the next bull run, so I'm looking at both. I'm like, all right, I've learned the long-term stuff I'll probably be more successful with because of my impulsivity and gambling tendencies when it comes to trading, especially with leverage. But somebody like you two are both really great at maximizing the short to midterm plays as well. And that's, I kind of want to just copy you guys in your trades. And Brando, he's really great at it too. I've seen
he's a short term. Yeah, he's like Austin. He trades 5 minute charts.
Brando does like 20 trades in 3 minutes. It's insane.
But it's all based on, but he has setups. Like before he goes into any of them, he's charted a setup and he runs with that, his ideas, following his playbook. And he actually sets his take profit and stop losses on each play before he even enters them.
Always have a stop loss.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So I think it's really good if you're doing this stuff to have a playbook, come up with a thesis, and see if you could prove your ideas right 6 out of 10 times, and then you over a long term of time, you could be a profitable trader that way. And like it's interesting because most of the people that you see on YouTube are trying to sell you their call group or something, right? And so they're like making all these calls and they like put on these like airs of confidence, like I can never be wrong, and then they get wiped out and they delete their old tweets and then they try to say, see, I was right. Like,
but the call group, they're all basically competing against themselves, right, to exit that trade. So basically everyone in your paid group is basically your enemy. It's just, that's why those things never last. They never last.
Yeah.
And not many of them are the person who starts them, because they get in the trade, then everyone else gets in the trade after them, and then they get out. I mean, it's essentially the same thing as pump and dump groups. You get in early, and then you use your entire community as exit liquidity.
Yeah. And there's like pros and cons to it, because if you have a lot of people following your trading strategy and you have enough capital, and depending on the size of the market for that asset, you could actually move the market and that can become problematic legally depending on where or what you're trading. But like that can benefit you and your entire call group. But at the same time, you're basically always going to use your call group as exit liquidity, unless you come up with some really stringent rules, like I won't exit my position until half the call group has exited or something. But I've never heard of anything like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Dave said.
Yeah.
Hey, we got I want to wrap up the podcast. We had that final question. I would love for Alchemy to make sure. I think it was it Aaron, Crypto Aaron? Is that his name? Or Andy? What was his name again? Aaron. Okay,
Aaron.
Crypto Aaron. Yeah, I was scrolling up here, finding it in the chat so deep. Here we go. Crypto Aaron says, yeah. So as far as like the Alchemy Trades bot, like just talking about the scalability. So if somebody with 5K versus 50 million, Jesus, if you have 50 million, come talk to me. But you know, could they pretty much see the similar results, or how can you really scale this? Is there like a max? Is there something where you kind of see, you know, performance drawdown? Could you kind of talk a little bit about that, Alchemy?
Yeah. So what it comes down for the amount of money you can use really comes down to how big is your token, how big is the liquidity, how big is, you know, if you can drop 50 million and your price impact is not enough that you're going to immediately lose 20% because your price impact is 20%, then there's no reason you can't do it. Same with if there's plenty of tokens you can't drop 5K in because you're going to lose 20% immediately because your slippage is 20% or your price impact is 20% on that. In terms of is there a point of decreasing returns? We've noticed that more comes with the amount of grids you're using, not in terms of the amount of money you're using. We have and we have to recalculate because I've made some changes to the formula, but we had what we would call the golden grid, which was essentially you would use our calculator and it gave you a point that anything above it, you didn't technically lose money, like you weren't making less, but your points of return were no longer great. You weren't going from, it wasn't like grid 2 was 20% and then grid 3 was 19%. You were having some pretty significant changes to, okay, now it's only 0.1% more for the next grid and 0.2%, very minimal. And that's more where we were seeing people having issues. And that issue, there's not issues. You're still making money. There's still money made there. But the amount of transactions you were occurring versus the amount of money you were making per transaction was not significant enough to go further with those. And those come in more with like I said, with the amount of grids you're using, which is impacted a little bit by the amount of money. The more money you have, the more grids you can use because you can overcome that gas price easier. But you could, in theory, still get the same results if you had a super wide range with low capital, and you can still get a bunch of grids that way.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I even, when I was using that's one thing you have to just make sure, again, these, like something like this isn't passive, like 100%, like, yeah, you got to check on it. But like, I was running, I forgot what bot it was on BNB at the time. And I kept running out of freaking gas because I had my grid set so high that it was just doing tons of transactions and I didn't have enough BNB. But yeah, thank you for answering that final question. Alchemy, thank you so much for just taking your time. I know how busy you are. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man, letting us grill you with questions, talking about crypto in general. I really do appreciate it, man.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I love talking bots. Love talking. If anyone has any further questions, Discord, and I will answer literally any questions you have.
Yeah. Pop in the Alchemy Discord, everybody, if you have any questions at all. Alex, Enrique,
Cool.
It's another great episode.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I love this stuff, man. I live for it.
All right, hey everybody, have a great Veterans Day. Have a great weekend.
Yes,
Hope you all have an
Veterans.
amazing weekend, and I will see you all later. What's up?
One last thing. I threw an open invite out to Good Day Crypto, Sean Clark, who's in the comments right now. I asked him to come on as a special guest. He's another YouTuber in the DeFi space. And I asked him to come on as a special guest next week, potentially. So if we're lucky, maybe he'll hop on from Australia and hang out with us too. So.
Yeah, make sure you all set. Hey, we hit another
Bye, guys.
all-time high. Make sure everybody
What was
goes in their
it?
calendar and it was 54. Remember, we had an all-time high of 54.
Oh,
So
okay,
go
that
on your
was it.
calendar,
Okay.
Nice.
go on your phone, tell Siri if you have an iPhone, every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come check us out. DeFi Money and everything. Have a wonderful